And welcome, Matt, to the show today. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And we have you today from Switzerland.
That's right. Zurich, Switzerland.
So, what are you doing? Tell us a little bit about this crazy journey you and your wife are on.
Yeah. I'm currently traveling the world full time, like you said, with my amazing wife and one backpack each. After we left the United States back in February 2017 with a plan to travel for about 3 years. And we've been to places like Machu Picchu, the Galapagos Islands, the Taj Mahal, amazing cities like Hong Kong, Venice, Cape Town. And then during our travels, we find creative ways to keep our costs down because we are on a budget. We get involved in the communities we visit, network with the locals while having a wonderful time.
And so, what do you do with the locals?
It varies. We like last night, I just had a situation where through the app meetup.com, I hung out with three local guys that over cigars, and we just because I'd enjoyed cigars in the States, never get a chance to really smoke them on the road, and through Meetup, I found a chance to meet these gentlemen. So it's more like networking, talking to people. And when we were just in Poland, we had a chance to visit with I visited with some people at a co-work space, had a chance to talk to them about what's going on in their communities and get to know about a little bit about the business and just the changes in their cities and things that are coming over the past couple of years. And then we volunteer a little bit as well. My wife and I volunteer on the road with orphanages and stuff like that. So it's a wide variety. We've been in weddings, things like that. So when it comes to communities and getting to know people, it's been a lot of fun and just to really get a chance to understand, because we're blessed to be able to do this in a way that it's longer term travel. And it's not always about the sites, but it's a chance to be in a city for 8 to 10 days, go to the supermarkets, wash our clothes, like live kind of like a local in that short amount of time. So we try to eat it up as much as we can in order to understand what they go through on a regular basis.
So, first, let's back up. What made you decide to just pack it up and get on the road?
Yeah. So before we're living out of a backpack, we had an awesome life in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I was a sales executive for an international IT consulting company. And part of that, I was a high performer. Nikki is a clinical pharmacist. She was definitely a high performer. And we had these amazing lives where we loved hanging out with our friends, spending quality time with our family. Nikki's family's from Chicago, so we'd go up there a lot, spend time with them. And we volunteered a bunch locally, but we just loved traveling. And so we just decided, after talking about it and planning about it for about 3 or 4 years, we decided the timing was right. And we made that leap of faith and left our careers at a time where a lot of people might not have left their careers. And we hit the road.
And for how long are you planning on being on the road?
It's really budget dependent. So currently we're definitely going back to the United States in May of 2019. But our hope is that we can continue to travel a little bit longer after that. And so to answer your question, 2.5 to 3 years is the plan.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to just say, out of here, going for it.
It did. It really did. It's one of those where it sounds amazing and it sounds kind of easy to do. But when we were in a great spot in our lives, and we didn't, I wouldn't call it stress free because I guess we're high performers and we put a lot of stress on ourselves. But we had awesome lives with not a lot of chaos to it, and so it would have been easy to just keep doing that. But we just like to grow. We like to see what's out there and do other things. So yeah, it was kind of hectic and crazy. And when we told people about it, they were real excited for us, but at the same time, they were like, "Oh my God, that's pretty wild." And some people couldn't grasp the idea of how we were going to do it, because we came from a lifestyle that because we built a certain lifestyle for ourselves. We had it nice, you know what I mean? So to go to place where we're volunteering in hostels to have free stays, and we're staying in hostels. And so the part of the volunteer efforts is you got to clean toilets and make beds and stuff like that. Things that we, at this point in our careers, in our lives, we wouldn't have to normally do, but we're doing them because it's part of the process. It's good, helps keep our budget down, gets us involved with other people to get a chance to see the road well. So I guess it's a give and take where we get to experience this amazing life on the road, but we're giving up some of the luxuries we're used to, for sure.
So, so far, I guess you said May 17th. So you've been at it for a little over a year.
Yeah, February 17th.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
February 17th. So we're about a year and a half in.
So what's been your favorite experience?
Experience-wise, there's a lot of them. We went to we had a week-long wedding in Hyderabad, India, which as an experience is going to be something that I'll always remember. I tell you again, experience-wise, and something that has changed how I think about things. We visited Auschwitz in outside of Krakow, Poland, where the devastation of World War II, that is something that'll stick with me forever. And then just spending time with Nikki's family in Albania. Nikki's sister's husband's family in Albania. That was great. So it's hard to pinpoint one particular, but to me, when I'm always telling, when we get asked that question, it usually comes back to the people we've met, whether it's like from the wedding process and meeting new people, or just revisiting with people from our friends from back home that have visited us on the road. It always sticks to the people. So it's, I guess that's to me, that's the common theme. And I guess if I had to say one thing that has really stuck out, it probably would be the wedding experience in Hyderabad, India, where Nikki and I were we were the only two, like, Westerners, definitely two only Americans and white faces that were there out of 2,000 people. And Nikki was actually in the wedding because this was a friend of mine from the States in technology, and he invited us to their home. We stayed in their home for 10 days, and it was just an amazing experience. His parents' home for 10 days, and it was an amazing experience that I'll never forget.
That's so neat. How do you think your life has changed since you've started this journey?
Yeah, it's the changes have come in small doses, where just getting out of our comfort zone and like I said, the luxuries we were so used to, and we not that we were like minimalists, but we were very minimal, where we lived in the same condo for 14 years. So Nikki and I, we're celebrating 13 years of marriage here shortly, but we've been in the same condo for a very long time. We didn't buy nice cars all the time. So we always kind of lived in a minimal way, but living out of one backpack is just a whole different level. So it kind of changes your thought processes on things, and a lot of as growing up in America, the purchasing that we do, during these travels, we've understood that it's kind of built into us, because we still visit malls, we still go to markets, we do these things that we're used to, and it's because it's a great way to see culture as well. Because when you get a chance to see the locals shop the way they shop, we still do that. And it's weird because you go there and you feel this urge to buy, even though that we don't need anything, you still feel an urge to buy. So for us to make those decisions not to buy, because we know we only have a backpack to put it in and we don't have anywhere to put it. So it's weird to, we've kind of stretched ourselves that way, that we're getting to a place where we just we know that we don't need anything. And we just need the minimal things to have a great life. So that has really changed. The time to work on creative projects is something that's not always there when you're, because like I said, Nikki and I were very kind of type A and driven, and we worked really hard to save this money so we can do this. So we put in a lot of hours during the process at work, working 50, 60-hour weeks. So we wouldn't always have that time to work on creative outlets and projects. And so now we're getting a chance to do that. So that's been a big change, and that's been amazing. and just really just slow time to think and reflect on life, and long walks, and enjoying just walking through the different cities and towns we're going to, and just be able to take it in and be kind of present and still, and not always have to set an alarm clock to wake up. Things that we were just so used to doing has really changed our mentality and our thought process during this journey.
Yeah, I definitely can see that part about that desire to buy and being American and, walking into a CVS and there's 10 different brands of toothpaste when you just
Yeah.
need one tube. You know,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dad
In
used to
our
always
case, it's
say,
multi.
my dad used to always say, why do you have a closet full of shoes? You can only wear one pair at a time.
Yeah, totally. And it's and it really takes out of a lot of the thought process. It probably gets annoying for the people that follow us on Instagram that see us in the same shirt all the time. But it takes away when you wake up and you only have like 3 or 4 clean shirts to put on. It takes away that anxiety that we have back home. I'm like, what am I going to wear today? And all these different ideas. But so it is nice in that way.
Well, but in a much deeper level, it shifts the
Yeah,
focus
absolutely.
onto each other and the people you're with, as opposed to the stuff.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
stuff we all think we need to, in order to be happy, we need the stuff, or we need the degree, or that
Yeah.
person, or that car, whatever, to be happy. And it's just not so.
Yeah. And we've used the logo, experiences over things, since we've left. And it's been a mentality for Nikki and I for quite some time. We just always, most of our, most of our money has gone to experiences, life experiences. And it's always been, it's something we can get caught up in sometimes trying to buy things, but that's mostly been our focus since we've been together.
Yeah. Well, what do you think have been some of the biggest fears that you've had to overcome with this whole process?
Yeah, for me, especially as a husband, my main thing is always security, making sure Nikki's safe wherever we go, and that whole thought process. And when we're traveling, is everything going to be okay? So, overcoming those fears of when she's going out and exploring on her own, or she's going to the market in a foreign environment that we might not think is safe. So, just having the confidence to know that she's cool, she can handle herself. That I've overcome kind of that fear along on the road. And I guess just the understanding different cultures as we go, and understanding how people tick, and putting ourselves in kind of awkward scenarios at times, but being able to come away thinking, yeah, everything's okay. And in I guess a lot of the fear comes out of our families back home being worried about where we are, when the reality is a lot of it's just media driven, and the places that we're visiting are actually extremely safe, and that we feel very comfortable where we are. And I'm lucky too. A lot of people ask us about confrontations on the road. We've had a few scary situations where people followed us, or it's been awkward, but nothing has really happened. I'm 6'6". I'm a bigger guy, so that I know that helps me. I'm not ignorant to the fact to think that doesn't help me, because I know it does. But we've still felt very safe, and a lot of it is just how you handle yourself, making eye contact. If you think somebody's a threat, making sure you look them in the face and then know that, hey, you understand the situation, and then obviously trying to not put yourself in those scenarios when you don't need to. And if somebody is on the same side of the street as you that you're kind of nervous about, just cross the street and get on the other side, and don't think anything of it. So yeah, we've been pretty lucky in that way.
Well, do you think there's when people understand that you're American, do you feel different? Do you feel like they feel different about you?
Yeah, I would say there is a short judgment cycle there. Luckily, we don't always look American. Like I pretty much stick out as a big white guy. Nikki fits in almost everywhere we go. She's been mistaken in a lot of different cultures, just because of her skin color and I think it's her hair. But for me, I typically stick out when we're in Europe. they're not certain. And honestly, when we've been in different parts of Asia, they sometimes think I'm European. So, but as soon as they hear me talk, they know I'm American. And so there is that quick judge cycle on what I might be thinking or who we are. And it's not, I tell you, it's been great to hear the different conversations I've had around the world, is how much support America gets from the other countries, that they want to see the U.S. do so well, because of the economy. The American economy drives the economies in a lot of these countries, not only from a tourist standpoint, but also just the delivering of goods and whatnot. So it's really encouraging that they're extremely welcoming most of the time, when they know we are from the U.S., because they've grown up on our culture a lot of times, whether it's just on a kind of on a side way on how so many of the movies they watch or the music they listen to. But there's this intriguing part where they know a lot about the U.S. culture, but then they have a lot of questions about how real is that. And a lot of times they may have visited once or twice, but most of the time they don't know much of it, what it's like to live in America. So they have a lot of questions that we get a chance to answer.
Now, did you travel before you started this journey? Had you been a world traveler before?
Not a world traveler. So my travel history was, my dad was in the U.S. Navy for 20 years. So I moved a lot as a kid in America. We were never stationed outside of America. So I've lived in 10 states in the U.S., bouncing around from schools and whatnot. And I played basketball in college, which I went to a few colleges for that. And then I didn't really travel much in my 20s outside of the U.S. And then when I got the opportunity to work with my international technology company, I won 5 different sales awards, and their incentive trips were overseas because the company's based out of Paris, France. So our incentive trips were Goa, India, Chiang Mai, Thailand, Cape Town, South Africa, Istanbul, Turkey, and then one year they came to Miami, Florida. But through that travel, the first year we went to Istanbul, Turkey, and my mind was blown. Once after visiting Istanbul, I just couldn't believe how different other parts of the world were. And we came back, and at that point we had already had a Croatian trip planned with Nikki's sister that summer. And so we came back. That was I think a late February, early March trip, and that Croatian trip was in July. So after those 2 trips internationally that year, I was just changed. I just had never seen that part of the world. I just didn't understand how different it could possibly be. So Nikki and I would continue to win these trips, and then we'd also continue to plan once a year for a international trip. So we had a chance to go to Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires. We saw the Iguazu Falls, Panama, the country, Greece, the Greek islands, and then we just had a chance to travel different places. And through all those trips, we would come home, and as we're flying home, I'm looking at the map at the back of the magazine, thinking, where can we go next? So those trips, they started the process of us dreaming, and then kind of writing down goals and planning on the hopes that someday we could travel the world and kind of just pause our careers. And we got to a point where it was decision time, because I'm getting older. I'm 42 now, and it's a situation where if we just felt like for me to re-enter the work, re-enter my career, it'd be easier at 45 than if I try to do this in my late 40s and re-enter it like 50 or 55, because then we just thought that it wouldn't be as easy. So that was part of the decision process on why we timed it the way we did, because I was with my company for 9 years. Nikki had been a clinical pharmacist for, I think, 6 or 7 years at that point. And she was with she's with one of the top university hospitals in America. So it wasn't easy, but we just thought that, man, the window is getting so small here. If we don't do it, it's going to be almost impossible to pause it. And so we were either going to just keep going and work till retirement like the traditional way, or we just take the leap of faith and just do it.
I think it's awesome. I think it's really,
Thank you so
really,
much.
what a great way to live your life. And your plan is to return to Indiana.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. We love the States. We love Indianapolis. So the plan is in May, definitely go back, see our families and friends. We've got some special events next summer that we want to be there for. So yeah, we'll definitely be back in May.
And are you planning on writing a book or something?
That's interesting. We're working on several creative ideas. Nikki is in the process of writing, documenting in a book. And we're working on some other things to be able to share the stories. With the podcast has been amazing to kind of just audibly document some of the travels, and then obviously the website for blogs, and just be able to just write these things down in the hopes that our nephews and nieces that someday can go back, read through it, see how cool Aunt Nikki and Uncle Matt are, and just kind of and then for us as well to revisit later in life all these experiences we're going through. I'm so happy that we decided to do that, because a lot of these things, if we wouldn't have been encouraged to write them down, we might have just lived them and regretted later, like all the small details. Because it's crazy, even in I wish I would have done it earlier in my life, documented, because there's parts of life that we that I've been through that I look back and like, it just seems like it went so fast, and I can't really pull back memories, because I was never really a diary write guy until I was later in my life. And I wish I would have wrote some more stuff down earlier to recall the feelings I was feeling at the time, and all the experiences I've been so blessed to go through, highs and lows.
But I think, I love the idea of documenting, but I think in a bigger way, a more powerful way that really, because your story is amazing, that anyone in their prime of their career in their life would walk away from everything and go travel the world and then end up back in the States. And
Yeah.
I think the story in there, for me anyway, is just the courage and tenacity it took to plan it and actually do it and just go for it. Because I think most of us are caught in that old illusion that we got to do it in a certain order. And
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And God forbid we stray from the ordinary and do
Yeah.
something completely different and just throw caution to the wind and go for it. I think, to me, that's the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
I
mean,
appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, and if anything, those nieces and nephews, that's what they're going to see. Less about, sure, our aunt and uncle are so cool, and yeah, they're so
Yeah.
adventuresome. But really, the bigger story is there are no rules.
Yeah.
There
You
are
can
no
create
rules.
your own, life, however you want to do it. And I've been, I've been disciplined but spontaneous throughout my life, and I've taken leaps of faith. And I think it's because I do have a strong faith that I've always just had the courage to do different things like this. That some people might say that's crazy, or I put time and effort into things that I thought would work out, or there were ideas that just didn't work out. But I appreciate you saying that, because when we were doing it, we both knew that it was kind of out there, and we knew it was a risk, and it was kind of crazy. But I was so I had to go through this process because I had a bunch of consultants. So with my job, I had a consultant base that worked for. They didn't work for me, but I helped them get employment at different clients in Indianapolis. But I had a group that worked for a client, and when I was going to tell them that I was doing this, it was an awesome experience, because I had a chance to just talk to all the people that meant so much to me throughout that phase of my career, and get a lot of one-on-one conversations. And this was a particular group setting, and there was two. They're from India, two India girls, and as I was telling them this, they said, Matt, this is like a movie. This is like I can't believe you're doing this. This is like a movie fairy tale. And at that point, it really hit me like, this is pretty awesome. And I'm so lucky and so blessed to be able to live this. And it didn't, because Nikki and I have been dreaming about it, and we've been like, it got really busy and crazy, especially towards the end of getting prepared for it. But to hear those two girls tell me that, it like struck, and I was like, it really is. It seems like a fairy tale. And I promise we understand how lucky and fortunate we are, and we don't take any day for granted. It's been an amazing journey, but it has been a fairy tale. It's like you asked me as what has gone wrong, and it's just been amazing the entire time. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, so part of it is what you said. It's you have enough faith to know that it's all going to work out. And I
Absolutely.
think when you operate from that place of faith, it does work out. If
Absolutely.
if you walk in with fear, something probably is going to happen because
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
energy you're putting out there. So I think,
Um,
yeah, that's really cool. What philosophy do you think you live by? What guides your life?
um, that's a tough question. So from a, I definitely have strong faith. Um, I I try to get the most out of my life on a regular basis and push myself to overcome fears and obstacles and just do things that I tell you, if I'm scared of something, then I challenge myself to do it because I know that it's going to help me get stronger in some way. Um, so I think that's a big part of it, and just try to do right by people. It's one of those things that how you do. It's a quote. I'm not sure if I live by it, but it's kind of how I am. Is how you do something is how you do everything, and the idea that everything really matters, but nothing really matters. Like nobody cares what you're doing on a regular basis. Like it's not a big deal. But in your world, everything is important. So if you try to do the best that you can do on a regular basis, and if you go to bed at night better than you were when you wake up, and you're just going towards that life goal of just constant improvement, then everything's going to be okay. But at the end of the day, uh, nothing really matters. I go back to this, and I'm a sports guy, so a lot of my analogies are sports driven. But when we were in South Africa during the Super Bowl, I couldn't find anybody that was going to watch the Super Bowl. We couldn't even find the Super Bowl, and so I'm like, here is the most important thing in America right now, and nobody cares in South Africa. And so that's like the idea that we think things are so important in our lives, but they're not. Like nobody cares what's really going on. But so just if you just focus on you and make your life the best that it can be, then everything's going to get a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's true. Who do you think's been your biggest role model?
Um, I think it's probably a collective group. I come from two amazingly hardworking families. A family. My parents were just very present, and they pushed me a ton. I had an awesome older brother it's my biggest cheerleader, and he wants nothing from the best for me. And I've been blessed with an amazing wife that I want to do. I want to just help her have the greatest life that she can have, and then in that process, just continue to get better. So I don't know if I have one particular role model. I've been influenced by guys like Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and some of these thought leaders out there that James Allen that wrote the book As a Man Thinketh, things like that. Those principles of life that you can become anything you want to become. I think there's a group of books and thought leaders that I've read and studied over the years that have influenced me a big time. But I think it's mostly just I've been rooted with the ability that just great guidance in my life that basically said you can achieve anything you want to do as long as you put your mind to it and put hard work behind it. And I've been blessed with people that I want to do that for, because it's one of those things where, especially as coming from a sales background, you really only want to work as hard as the people that you're going to make money for, because the things when you're selling, you're making other people money. And so if the people that you're selling for above you, your VPs or the owners, if you don't like those people, you're not going to work very hard for them. But if you really like them, you're going to bust your tail and try to make as much money as you can for not only yourself, but for them as well. And I feel like I've just been blessed in life that I've always wanted to do really well for the people that I'm surrounded myself by, and the people that I've been blessed with as family members.
Oh, along that line, what would be the best advice you might give to somebody who might feel stopped from living this great life illuminated like you are?
I think I think you have to understand that like you personally deserve the best life that you decide to have. And it's one of those things that if you put in the time and effort and the work to achieve, then it's okay to think that you deserve that. Because a lot of times that you go through life, and I can remember different chapters of my life when I achieved different things. I always thought that that was built for somebody else. I always thought that somebody else is supposed to make that kind of money. Somebody else is supposed to have that kind of job. Somebody else is supposed to achieve these things, travel the world. That's not for me, but that's for somebody else because they're better than me in some way. And I think that I got to a point in life where I'm like, I do deserve these things. I put in the time, the effort, and the hard work to achieve them, and it's okay for me to achieve these things. And I think that once you understand that people are, as a category, we're all pretty much the same, but it's what you decide to do in those 24 hours that makes you different. And then once you decide that it's okay for you to have success and celebrate that success, and it's okay for you to be different and phenomenal in your own way, then you start to achieve these things. And it's when you're having the gratitude and you're giving back in a positive way, those things keep coming to you, and it's okay to expect more to come. So I think that that's the thing, is like, it's okay if you understand that you deserve and you have the ability to achieve anything you want in life. Then I think that once you open your eyes to those things, then anything is possible.
Well, yeah, and everything is available. I mean, goodness gracious. It's like you said, you go and try and find the Super Bowl and they don't care.
Yeah,
But they
exactly.
care about something else that
Absolutely.
maybe to them and their country is just as important as Super Bowl, and it may not even be sports related. But the idea that I think part of what you're alluding to is just when we're living in the same condo for 14 years and doing
Yeah.
the same thing over and over and over again, we're kind of cheating ourselves because there's so much out there to explore and so many amazing people on the planet to get to know. And it's my hats are off to you for just going for it. I think it's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an amazing ride.
Yeah, yeah. So where are you off to next?
Well, the time of this recording, we will be in Switzerland for 3 weeks, and then we are going to Estonia, which is in the northeastern part of Europe. And then we start our Asian tour after that. We start in Japan, and we're going to work our way down. And with that we're still undecided. We are meeting a friend in Thailand in February or end of September, and we've got a few things kind of lined up, but we're still pretty open until as we make our own. We know we're going to go to Australia, New Zealand on the way home, but we're basically going through Asia and then those parts before May 2019.
Are you afraid you might fall in love with another part of the world and decide to stay?
Not afraid. We've already kind of fallen in love with a few spots, but yeah, there's places. I tell you, the way that the digital life is now, where you can earn basically anywhere. It would be nice to be able to continue to travel in some capacity for a while, and that's what to be able to go and discover and see these places and maybe go back for 2 or 3 months at a time. Though that is kind of what it's been nice to see like places like Vietnam and Albania, and these places that have low costs of living but have amazing beaches and infrastructure. And it has been pretty cool to have our eyes open by that and say, wow, what if maybe not in 3 years, but maybe in 20 years, we could spend half our year in these locations because they are really nice, and the dollar goes a long way. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Well, where can people learn more about you, or how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we tell these stories, our travel stories, and give the tips and advice on our podcast. But you can find everything at passportjoy.com. That's where we have our social media links, our tips, books we love. Everything is basically on the website passportjoy.com, and there you can find the links for our weekly podcast as well.
That's perfect. And do you have one last tidbit of advice for anybody out there who wants to begin living a life illuminated?
Yeah, I would say just have an open mind. Whether it's travel to a different country, maybe get out of your routine a little bit, even if you're in your own city. If you're going the same route to work every day, maybe you take a different route so you can see new things and just open up your mind, and maybe take out your headphones more, and so you can listen to people, and just don't be afraid to step into new cultures, and try to just open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you sharing a little bit of your journey. It's magnificent. I'm envious. I would love to be right where you are, and there's no reason why I can't really, right?
Absolutely.
We make all kinds of excuses, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So stay safe and travel well. And I hope to get a chance to chat with you as you're further down the road.
Will do. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, take care.
You as well.
Bye.